The forest lay under a silver haze, the full moon casting a cold, ethereal light through the twisted branches. Mist curled around the roots of ancient trees like living smoke, and every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant howl of a wolf, felt magnified in the still night. This was a forest old as time, a place whispered about in the nearby village as both sacred and cursed. Few dared venture too far, for they said the wolves there were no ordinary creatures, and that the moon held secrets that mortals were never meant to know. Alara moved cautiously through the undergrowth, her bare feet brushing against soft moss. She had always loved the forest, though her mother rarely allowed her to roam too far. Tonight, however, was different. Tonight was the full moon festival, and the village gathered at the edge of the forest to honor the light of the lunar goddess. Lanterns swayed in the wind, and children's laughter mingled with the distant cries of nocturnal birds. But Alara's eyes were drawn inward, to the shadowed depths of the trees, where she felt a strange tug, as if the forest itself was calling her. Her mother, Elira, stood at the edge of the gathering, wrapped in a dark cloak. Her hair shimmered like silver under the moonlight, and her eyes were fixed on the sky. Alara had watched her mother do this countless times, but tonight there was a tension in her stance, a subtle trembling in her fingers. Elira's lips moved in silent prayer, and Alara felt an unfamiliar chill creep down her spine. "Mom," she whispered, stepping closer. "Why do you always stare at the moon like that?" Elira's gaze flickered to her daughter, a faint smile ghosting across her lips. "Some things, Alara, are meant to be understood only when the time comes," she said softly. There was a weight in her voice, an unspoken warning, and Alara frowned, sensing a story untold. As she spoke, a low growl echoed from the forest. Alara froze. Her eyes darted toward the shadows, and there, emerging from the mist, was the alpha wolf. Its fur was the color of night itself, eyes glowing faintly silver under the moon. It moved with a grace that was almost human, its gaze fixed not on Alara, but on Elira. Alara's heart skipped. She had known the wolf since childhood. It had always watched her from the edge of the forest, silent and distant. Yet it had never come so close, never displayed such recognition. She felt a tremor of something primal in the air, a shift she could not name. "Mom," she whispered again, barely daring to speak. She stepped closer to Elira, her hand brushing against her mother's cloak. "Mom has your same lunar mark." The moment the words left her lips, the alpha wolf stiffened. Its ears pricked, body tense, and with a sudden, fluid motion, it rose to its full height. The silver of its eyes blazed like twin moons, and it let out a low, resonant howl that echoed through the forest. Alara staggered back, fear and awe warring in her chest. The wolf was no longer merely observing, it was responding, acknowledging something that had lain dormant for years. Kalen's voice came then, smooth and dark, like shadows moving through the night. "The mark, it has awakened." Alara turned sharply, and her eyes met his. He emerged from the tree line, tall and imposing, draped in a cloak of dark fur that seemed almost alive. His presence carried authority, danger, and a strange magnetism that made her heart flutter despite herself. He was the village alpha, a figure of power and fear, and yet tonight, he looked. "The prophecy," he murmured, stepping closer. "The one the elders whispered about. It begins with you." Alara's mind spun. She had heard whispers of prophecies in the village, tales of girls born with lunar marks, destined to walk a path between the human and the wolf. But she had never imagined it could be her. The mark on her mother's wrist, hidden beneath layers of fabric, had always seemed like a family trinket, a decorative charm with no true meaning. Yet the wolf's reaction, the weight of Kalen's gaze, and the subtle pulse she felt in her own chest told her otherwise. "I don't understand," she whispered, glancing down at her hand. Nothing visible shimmered or glowed, yet there was a heat there, A pulse, as if something deep inside her had stirred. Kalen's eyes softened, though his tone remained grave. You will, in time. But the wolves, they know you. They feel your bond, and so does the forest. That mark is more than a symbol, it is a key, a bridge between worlds. And it is dangerous. Alara swallowed hard. Her mind was a whirlwind of questions, fear, and an odd thrill. She had always felt different, drawn to the wild places where others hesitated. Now, she realized she had been standing at the edge of destiny all her life. Elira stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on Alara's shoulder. Her touch was warm, grounding, yet her eyes betrayed a deep sadness. I kept this from you, to protect you, she said. But some things cannot be hidden forever. The wolves, the mark, they are part of our bloodline, part of our fate. And now, you must face it. The alpha wolf let out another low growl, its breath misting in the cool night air. It padded closer, circling Alara, inspecting her with an intensity that made her shiver. She felt her own pulse quicken, a strange connection bridging the distance between human and beast. The wolf was not merely a creature, it was a sentinel, a guardian, a link to something ancient and powerful. Kalen stepped closer to her side, his presence both protective and commanding. The mark chooses its bearer, he explained. It has chosen you. And with that choice comes responsibility, danger, and power you do not yet understand. Alara's gaze darted back to her mother. Mom, why didn't you tell me? Elira's expression was sorrowful. Because some truths are heavy, because some power is too dangerous for a child to bear, and because I feared what the world would do if they knew you carried it. But the moment has come, Alara. You cannot run from what you are. The forest seemed to shiver around them, the wind carrying a chorus of whispers as if the trees themselves were speaking. Alara's vision blurred for a moment, and she saw flashes. Silver eyes in the darkness. Wolves moving like shadows. Kalen standing beside her, and her own reflection in the alpha's eyes. A connection pulsed through her. Unspoken, but undeniable, a bond of blood, moon, and fate. Suddenly, a movement in the shadows drew their attention. A figure, cloaked and silent, watched from the edge of the trees. Its presence was both human and otherworldly. And for a moment, Alara felt a cold shiver of fear. The figure turned and vanished into the mist, leaving behind an unsettling silence. Kalen's hand rested lightly on the hilt of a dagger at his waist. You are not alone in this, he said softly, though his eyes betrayed a storm of worry. But others will come, others who fear the mark, and what it represents. You must be ready. Alara's chest tightened. She felt the weight of expectation, destiny, and an unfamiliar surge of courage. She glanced at the alpha wolf, now sitting at her side, its massive head resting on its paws, eyes still glowing softly in the moonlight. Somehow, she knew it would protect her. Somehow, she knew it was waiting for her command, or perhaps for her understanding. Alara, Kalen said, his voice breaking the silence. The night is not safe. Stay close, and listen to the wolf. It will guide you. But beware. The mark will not remain hidden for long. Darkness will seek it, and it will not wait. The girl swallowed hard, trying to steady her racing heart. She felt the pull of something immense. A force older than the forest, older than the village, older than herself. The mark was awakening, and with it, the destiny she had never asked for. Above them, the moon shone full and bright, a silver sentinel in the sky. The wind carried a low, mournful howl, echoing from the distant hills. Alara's gaze lifted to the sky, her breath catching in her throat as she felt the forest lean in around her, alive and aware. And then the wolf rose again, taller and more imposing than ever, its eyes blazing with recognition and reverence. Alara felt a shiver of power ripple through her. The world seemed to pause, the night holding its breath. Kalen stepped closer, his presence like shadow and flame intertwined. "The prophecy. It begins with you," he whispered again, voice low, urgent, carrying both warning and awe. Alara's heart pounded as the forest trembled around them. She could feel it, the stirrings of something ancient, something powerful, something that had waited generations to awaken. She was no longer merely a girl in a village. She was a key, a bridge, a force bound to the moon, the wolves, and the destiny of those who came before her. A sudden rustle in the underbrush froze her blood. A pair of glowing eyes watched from the darkness. The wolf growled, low and threatening, and Kalen's hand tightened on his dagger. Alara's pulse raced, a mixture of fear and exhilaration flooding her senses. The figure stepped into the silver light, a shadowy form cloaked in mystery. Watching silently, patiently, with eyes that promised danger. Alara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold night air. The forest itself seemed to whisper her name, carrying a warning on the wind. She looked at her mother, then at Kalen, then at the alpha wolf at her side. Everything had changed in a heartbeat. Her life, her future, her very identity, had been pulled into something far larger than herself. And in that moment, under the silver gaze of the full moon, Alara realized the truth. The mark had chosen her. The wolves had recognized her. And destiny was waiting. The wolf let out a low, resonant howl that echoed through the forest, carrying a single, undeniable message. The journey begins, and there is no turning back. The forest seemed quieter now, but the silence was heavy, like a held breath. The shadowed figure that had watched Alara in the previous night had vanished, leaving only whispers among the trees. Yet Alara felt its presence, lingering like a chill down her spine. The alpha wolf sat beside her, massive and vigilant, its glowing silver eyes scanning the darkness. Kalen's hand rested on the hilt of his dagger, though his posture was more protective than threatening. Alara's mind raced. She had never felt so aware of every sound, every rustle of leaves, every flutter of movement in the shadows. The mark on her wrist pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat that belonged to someone or something else. She flexed her fingers, trying to understand what it meant. "You feel it too," Kalen said, his deep voice breaking the silence. "The mark is not just a symbol, it is a connection. It binds you to the wolves, to the lineage of those who came before, and it carries a curse." Crost. Alara flinched at the word. "A curse?" she whispered. I don't understand." Kalen's eyes softened for a moment, but the shadow of worry remained. "It is not evil in itself, but it is dangerous. The mark chooses a bearer, but it also draws attention. Those who fear or covet its power will come, and sometimes, those who bear it struggle to control the force within them." The alpha wolf nudged Alara's side, low and reassuring, as if sensing her unease. She knelt beside it, resting her palm on its thick fur. The wolf's body vibrated with energy, subtle but undeniable, and Alara felt a flicker of understanding. The bond was real, stronger than she could have imagined. Alira stepped closer, her cloak brushing the moss beneath her feet. "You were born for this," she said softly. "I tried to protect you, Alara, but the forest does not forget. The wolves remember. The moon remembers. And now, it is time for you to remember as well." Alara looked at her mother. "Remember what?" she asked. "I don't even know what this mark means, or why it chose me." Alira's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "Your bloodline carries the gift and the burden. Long ago, our family was part of Kalen's pack. We protected the forest, guarded the secrets of the moon, and maintained balance between humans and the wolves. but a betrayal, a darkness, forced us to leave. I left you behind, hiding the mark, hoping to spare you from what I endured. But fate has its own will. It has chosen you. Alara felt a wave of fear and anger. Why now? Why me? Kaelin stepped closer. Because you are ready. The bond responds to strength, to courage, and the mark has awakened in you. The wolves sense it, and so does the world. The alpha wolf let out a low growl, turning its massive head to the north. Alara followed its gaze and saw a distant shimmer in the trees, a movement almost like smoke twisting in the wind. A chill ran down her spine. Kaelin's eyes narrowed. They are coming, he said simply. Alara's heart pounded. Who? Those who fear the mark, Kaelin replied. Rival clans, dark forces, beings who wish to harness or destroy what you carry. Alara swallowed hard. She had always known the world beyond the village could be dangerous. But this was something entirely different. The forest felt alive with anticipation. Every shadow a potential threat, every rustle a warning. Kaelin gestured for her to follow him. Come. You must learn. Tonight, the forest will teach you, if you are willing to listen. Alara hesitated, glancing at her mother. Alira's eyes were gentle but firm. You must go, she said. The wolf will guide you. Kaelin will guide you. You cannot stay here. Guy. The wolf rose, powerful and silent, and began walking toward the deeper forest. Each step seemed to pulse with energy, the mist curling around them as if alive, parting to allow their passage. Kaelin spoke softly, almost as if teaching a lesson in whispers. The mark is part of you, Alara. It connects you to the wolves, yes, but also to the past. Those who bore it before you struggled, some failed. You must learn control. Or, the force within may overwhelm you. Alara's gaze dropped to her wrist. The mark was faint, a silver crescent etched upon her skin. She flexed her fingers, trying to feel its power, but it remained subtle, teasing, waiting. The alpha wolf stopped at a small clearing bathed in moonlight. The ground was soft with moss, and a shallow pool reflected the moon above like a mirror. The wolf turned to face her, eyes glowing with silent expectation. Touch it, Kaelin instructed. Feel the connection. Let it guide you. Alara hesitated. Then, slowly, she knelt beside the pool and laid her hands upon the cool water. The reflection shimmered, and for a moment, she saw herself, and not herself. Her eyes glowed silver, her body seemed taller, stronger, more powerful. The wolf appeared beside her, larger, ethereal, like a guardian from another world. A voice echoed in her mind, soft but commanding. You are of the line, the blood of the moon, the keeper of the mark. Alara gasped and pulled back. Who are you? I am the memory of those who came before. The wolf remembers. The moon remembers. And now, you must remember too. Kaelin stepped beside her, his presence grounding yet commanding. You are stronger than you know, Alara. The first test is control. Learn to feel the wolf, not fear it. Feel its strength, its patience, its loyalty. If you command it with your heart, it will obey. If you falter, it may consume you. Alara's chest tightened. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. She had never felt so small, yet so connected to something immense, something beyond understanding. Hours passed as Kaelin guided her through the rituals of connection. She learned to sense the wolf's thoughts, to feel the ebb and flow of energy that bound them. She saw glimpses of past bearers of the mark, their triumphs and failures, their struggles and regrets. Each vision was vivid, emotional, and frightening. Yet she could not look away. You are not alone, Kaelin said, his voice low and steady. Even if the path is dark, even if the curse seeks to break you, You have allies. The wolf, your mother's blood, my guidance, and your own courage. You must trust them, and yourself. Alara nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Fear still lingered, but determination flared within her. She would not fail. Not now. Not ever. Suddenly, a howl shattered the night. It was not the alpha wolf beside her, but many wolves, distant yet urgent. Alara's heart leapt into her throat. The forest trembled with the sound, the mist swirling violently around them. Kalen's eyes darkened. They know, he said grimly. The rival clans have sensed the mark. They are coming for you, for us, for the forest itself. Alara's pulse raced. She could feel the wolf stir beside her, energy vibrating through its body, mirrored in her own. The mark on her wrist burned with a sudden intensity, and visions of danger flashed before her eyes, shadowed figures moving through the trees, weapons glinting in the moonlight, wolves in battle. Kalen grabbed her arm gently. Steady yourself. Fear is natural, but control will save you. Let the wolf guide your instincts. Alara closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and felt the connection deepen. The wolf's mind brushed against hers, not intrusive, but supportive, protective, and strong. She could sense its every muscle, its every thought, its every emotion. And she realized something profound. The wolf was part of her. The mark was not just a symbol, it was a bond of life and spirit. The first shadow appeared at the edge of the clearing. A figure cloaked in black, moving silently among the trees. Alara's pulse quickened, but she did not falter. The wolf growled low, warning, and Kalen stepped forward, dagger gleaming under the moonlight. You will not touch her, Kalen said, voice steady yet filled with quiet fury. The figure paused, eyes glinting. Then another emerged. Then another, moving like whispers of darkness. Alara felt the weight of their intent. Malice, greed, fear of the mark's power. Her grip on control tightened. The alpha wolf rose beside her, immense and glowing in the moonlight, ready to defend her. Alara met Kalen's eyes. I am ready, she whispered, heart pounding. Kalen nodded. Good. But remember, courage alone will not protect you. You must master the bond, or it may master you. The shadows advanced, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Alara could feel the energy of the mark, of the wolf, and of the moon itself converging within her. She took another deep breath, closing her eyes to focus, and the forest pulsed with anticipation. Something ancient stirred in the shadows, something that had waited centuries for the mark to awaken. Alara could sense it, a darkness that was patient, cunning, and hungry. And in that moment, the moon seemed to whisper her name. A silver thread of light weaving through the trees. The forest pulsed with tension, alive with 1,000 unseen eyes. The shadows advanced, silent and patient, sliding between the twisted trees like smoke. Alara's pulse raced, the mark on her wrist burning hot with a strange, silver fire. The alpha wolf beside her growled, massive muscles tensed, eyes glowing brighter than ever. Kalen's hand gripped the hilt of his dagger, his jaw tight, eyes scanning the darkness with the sharpness of a predator. Alara took a deep breath, forcing her trembling legs to remain steady. The connection to the wolf thrummed in her mind, strong and unwavering. A bridge of instinct and spirit. The forest whispered around them, its secrets alive in every rustle, every shadow, every flicker of moonlight. She could feel the presence of the dark figures approaching, cunning, patient, relentless. They wanted the mark. They wanted her. And yet, she was no longer merely a girl. She was something more. Alara, Kalen murmured, stepping close. Remember your bond. Fear will only give them power. Trust the wolf. Trust yourself. This is your test. Alara nodded, her heart pounding like a drumbeat in the night. She felt the wolf's mind brush against hers. comforting yet commanding. We are one. We protect. We fight. We survive. The first shadow emerged fully into the clearing, a cloaked figure, tall and menacing, with eyes that glittered like cold steel. It moved toward her, slow and deliberate. Alara's hand rose instinctively, palm brushing the air as if drawing something from the mark itself. The silver crescent pulsed, and a wave of energy spread from her wrist through the clearing, stirring the mist, rippling the leaves, and striking the figure with a force it could not withstand. The figure staggered, faltering under the invisible power. Another shadow leapt forward to aid it, and the wolf let out a deafening roar. Its presence seemed to double in size, massive and ethereal, as if the moon had poured its own strength into the beast. Alara felt the energy surge through her, a strange, intoxicating mixture of fear, power, and clarity. "You can do this," Kalen whispered. His eyes locked onto hers, steady and commanding. "Focus. Do not let them break you." Alara nodded, drawing her courage like a blade. She felt the wolf's spirit in her, guiding her every step. She raised her hands, and the air around her shimmered with silver light. The shadows faltered again, their confidence shaken. They did not expect this, a girl, young and human, commanding a force older than the forest itself. A sudden movement in the trees caught her attention. Another figure, darker and more sinister than the rest, slithered into the clearing. Its presence was different, older, crueler, more cunning. Alara sensed it immediately. This was the true threat, the darkness that had lingered through generations, waiting for the mark to awaken. Kalen stepped in front of her, dagger raised, eyes narrowing. "Stay behind me," he said, though his voice held a mixture of fear and respect. Alara shook her head. "No," she said firmly. "I can't. This is my fight. The mark, it's mine." Kalen studied her, and for a brief moment, a storm of emotions flickered in his eyes. Pride, fear, longing, and something unspoken. Then he nodded, stepping aside to let her face the darkness. Alara took a deep breath, feeling the rhythm of the forest, the heartbeat of the wolf, and the pull of the moonlight. She focused on the mark, letting its energy flow through her like a river of silver. The air shimmered, mist swirling around her in luminous waves. She raised her arms, and the shadows recoiled, their dark forms twisting and faltering. The wolf lunged forward, massive and graceful, intercepting the closest shadow, teeth and claws striking with precision. Alara's silver light flared again, knocking another backward, leaving it disoriented and unable to advance. She felt exhilaration, mixed with fear, her body trembling from the intensity of the power, yet she remained steady. The true dark figure advanced, its form coalescing into something almost human, yet not its eyes glinting with malice, its aura radiating centuries of cunning. Alara's heart leapt, but she stood her ground, drawing strength from the wolf, from Kalen, and from the forest itself. "You cannot stop me, child of the mark," the figure hissed, voice like a whispering wind through dead leaves. "The curse will claim you, as it claimed those before you." Alara's chest tightened, but she did not falter. She lifted her hands higher, silver light flowing from her wrist, coiling around the figure like living chains. The figure screamed, an echo of pain and rage that shook the clearing, but Alara held firm, focusing all her will into the bond. Kalen watched, awe and admiration flickering in his eyes. He saw her courage, her determination, the purity of her heart that shone brighter than any blade. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel fully pride, love, and a hope he had long buried under centuries of duty. The shadow twisted and fought, striking at the wolf and Alara. But the wolf anticipated every move, guiding Alara's hands, protecting her body, and synchronizing with her will. Together, they moved as one wolf and girl, mark and mind, predator and protector. A final surge of light erupted from the mark, filling the clearing with silver fire. The dark figure shrieked, staggering backward, and then dissolved into mist, carried away by the wind like smoke. The remaining shadows fled into the trees, their cohesion broken, leaving the clearing silent except for the wolf's low growl and the rustle of leaves. Alara sank to her knees, trembling with exhaustion and relief. The wolf nudged her gently, its eyes warm and approving. She smiled faintly, tears prickling her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. Kalen stepped beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "No," he said softly, voice low with reverence. "You did it. I only stood by. You controlled the power, and you survived. You are stronger than I ever imagined." Alara looked up at him, breathless, her chest heaving. Their eyes met, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition. A bond deeper than words. Kalen had always been a figure of power and authority, distant and untouchable. Yet now he seemed human, vulnerable, awed by her courage. The forest around them seemed to sigh in relief, the mist settling gently, the trees bowing under the weight of moonlight. Alara felt the mark cool, its energy still present, but steady, harmonious. She looked at her wrist, tracing the silver crescent with her finger. It was no longer a threat, it was a part of her, a part she could control. Illyra stepped into the clearing, her expression a mixture of relief and pride. "Alara, you have done what I could not," she said softly. "You faced the darkness, and you prevailed. The curse is broken." Alara turned to her mother, emotions swirling inside her: love, relief, understanding, and a new respect. "I couldn't have done it without him," she said, glancing at Kalen, and then at the wolf, her heart swelling with gratitude. Kalen's lips curved into a rare, small smile. "No," he said, voice low but steady. "You did everything. I only guided. And the wolf, well, it always knew you would be ready." The alpha wolf let out a deep, resonant howl, filling the clearing with a sense of triumph and liberation. Alara felt it in her bones: the forest, the moon, the wolf, and Kalen, all connected through courage, trust, and the power of the mark. The night stretched on, quiet now, the danger past. But a new sense of calm had settled over the forest. Alara stood, brushing moss from her clothes, her eyes shining with determination and newfound confidence. She had faced darkness, controlled the power within, and survived. She had proven herself worthy of the mark and its legacy. Kalen stepped closer, his eyes reflecting the silver of the moon. "Alara, the journey is not over. The mark will guide you further, and the forest will always need guardians. But tonight, you have proven that courage, heart, and trust can overcome even the darkest curse." Alara nodded, a quiet smile on her lips. "I know now. I am ready for whatever comes next." Kalen's gaze softened, and for a long moment, they simply stood together, bound by shared triumph, mutual respect, and an unspoken connection that neither could deny. The wolf nudged her once more, and she placed her hand on its massive head, feeling the pulse of life, strength, and loyalty. Above them, the moon hung full and radiant, a silent witness to the night's trials. Its light poured over the clearing like silver water, illuminating the bond between girl and wolf, human and alpha, courage and destiny. And as dawn began to creep along the horizon, painting the mist with soft hues of pink and gold, Alara felt a whisper in her mind, gentle yet powerful. "The mark is yours, but the journey is only beginning." She smiled, lifting her eyes to Kalen. "Then we face it together." Kalen nodded, his hand brushing hers lightly, a promise unspoken but understood. The forest was quiet, alive, and full of possibilities. Alara had faced darkness, tamed the power within, and discovered a strength she had never known. She was no longer merely a girl, she was the keeper of the mark, bonded to the wolf, the forest, and the legacy of her bloodline. The wolf lay beside her, calm but alert, eyes still glowing with silver light. Together, they would face the challenges to come, their bond unbreakable, their courage unwavering. The moon watched over them, its light a blessing and a promise, as the forest whispered in approval. The shadows may return, the night may test her again, but Alara knew one truth, that nothing could take away. She had found her strength, embraced her destiny, and discovered the power of trust, courage, and love. And somewhere deep in the forest, a new chapter waited silent, patient, and ready to unfold under the light of the eternal moon.